Greetings and welcome to Second Breakfast, the second most important meal of the day. I'm Shawn.
And I'm Jason. Shawn, what's for second breakfast today?
Today is the last of our second breakfast binges. We've been binge eating, but sadly now that has to come to an end as we discuss Season 2, Episode 3 of The Rings of Power, The Eagle and the Sceptre. Directed by Louise Hopper and Charlotte Brandstrom, like last episode. Written by Helen Shang. Released yesterday, August 29th, 2024. Jason, how did you feel about Season 2, Episode 3 of The Rings of Power?
I liked it. There's definitely a lot going on. It seemed like a lot less Sauron-centric this episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I really liked it. I think I like this one better than the second one. I'd probably give this one like a 9 out of 10 so far. We got like a little bit of action. There was a lot of emotional moments.
Yeah.
We got to actually see humans and shit, so that was cool. Yeah, so much happened in that episode. It's weird, just like we just saw so much of Numenor and so much with like Isildur and stuff that like it's weird to think like, oh yeah, that was all just this one episode.
Yeah,
like we hadn't seen anything Numenor until just this episode.
Yeah,
it feels like I'm like, okay, I'm back in it.
Yeah, I think this is my favorite of the three so far. I really liked this episode. It's the one that felt the most like the first season to me so far. And I really liked that. I don't really have any like overall thoughts beyond it's my favorite of the three so far. I thought the pacing was really good. I really liked all the storylines that we stopped in on. I thought the only thing about it that kind of I didn't love was Bronwyn being dead, but like that was out of their control, you know?
Yeah, I think it does.
I mean, it makes sense. Like
it makes the story work. It makes Isildur, and it makes me wonder. Like, did they kind of retcon how she died? Like, did they change?
Well, they do say that she died from the stab wound. It just took a while.
I'm sorry, for Isildur's mother.
Oh, well, that's what I was also
because like we knew it had to do with the sea, so it's like okay, she drowned.
Yeah,
but like for what reason, right?
Well, that's curious. Like, I guess let's jump into it. Let's jump into Isildur, because that was, I think, the biggest thing we learned this episode was about Isildur, and we learned, you know, last season he was talking about how he was being called by the other side of Numenor, and they say that, like Elendil didn't want him to do anything about it because that's how his mom died. His mom died somehow related to the other side of Numenor in the water. And we get the kind of confirmation here is that Isildur was swimming out, and I think the implication is he was following the call.
That's what I would assume, right?
And he was going to drown while following the call, and she went after him and saved him, but she drowned instead. And so he blames himself for it.
Right.
And that's really interesting. I that's definitely not what I got the vibe of from season 1. But I think it's something that very much works, especially in parallel.
Yeah, it works really well here
Theo.
to make it so him and Theo are very similar, and that he can be a good influence for Theo. Like seeing like Theo's like character sitting there listening and like crying and stuff.
He can be a good influence, and he can be a good parallel to show, because I think Theo's going to go down a different path.
Yeah, like Theo's going to be the bad to Isildur.
Yeah. You know, I think the whole arc of Isildur is going to have to let go of that pain, and Theo will be unable to.
Right, because it's like so much nearer to him.
Yeah. It's so much more recent. He's got such a different influence on him, right? Like the darkness is so much stronger now than it would have been.
And his fault isn't just that his mother died. He would probably blame himself for everybody that's died.
Yeah.
And that the mountain blowing up and shit.
And the easiest path out of that pain is the justification of the orcs, right? Like, he can be offered another perception of it by Adar or Sauron or whoever,
right?
Of what you did was a necessary evil in order to better the lives of all of these people that have been, you know, oppressed up until now. These the orcs.
Yeah, there's very much like a people keep getting put into hard situations, and then the first most easiest thing just keeps being, yo, whatever Sauron is like
yeah,
it's like helpful for Sauron.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's the kind of, I mean, that's the tale as old as time, right? Of being good isn't easy.
Right.
You know, that's always kind of the easy path is always kind of the darker one.
A lot of times, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, at least in fiction, right? When you're telling a story narratively, the easy path is always, or not always, but very frequently considered to be the dark path, and it's always like it's harder to be good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I loved. Let's talk about that opening of Isildur with the fucking spider. That was horrific. That happened.
That was crazy. I was not expecting to see that so instantly.
Yeah.
Like having seen it in the trailer and then like showing the eggs like being born.
Oh God, it was disgusting.
And that orc still being alive. And then it just like pops his head.
Yeah.
Like they never seem like they're like that strong in like The Hobbit.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like the stinger or whatever. Maybe you get bit or whatever. But like their pincers can just like crush your fucking skull.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And like to watch that happen and then have it trying to immediately do that same move to Isildur, you're like, oh, and then he tries to throw it and it like latches on again. Like
that was really cool. It does like a little flip.
Yeah, yeah. And then all the tiny ones swarming Barrack and stuff. And
this episode had a good amount of action in it without feeling overwhelming, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that opening with the spider shit was really cool. I mean, the spider also, I think, looked really good. Like, that would have been a really easy thing to mess up with CG, right?
Yeah.
But I think it all looked really good.
Yeah, even the tiny ones, I didn't notice.
Yeah.
I'm sure if you, like,
freeze frame it.
If you went through and were looking for issues, maybe you could find some, but having the first watch through, everything looked good.
Yeah. And so then we meet this new character. What was her name? Did you catch? Estrid. Who, I mean, to me, just all the tropes of love interest immediately start going off. When Isildur runs into her and they have like
in like a meta way, it's like, you know, that there's not the like, because we knew going into the season that the actress said she's not in season for Bronwyn, and so going into it, you know, okay, well, they don't have
that love interest.
This love interest thing. I guess you could say that there's like one with Aarion and what's his name?
The fucking loser. But no, but they're bad guys.
I can't remember. Right. So, I mean, at least you would assume that they would replace it with another one.
Well,
right? You know, like, it doesn't necessarily have to, but yeah, I would say there's definitely some brewings, like some tension and stuff, and
it just feels very like not only did we know that we were losing the Arondir and Bronwyn relationship, we know that eventually Isildur's line needs to move to Middle-earth, right? Like,
yeah, because,
you know, of Aragorn and all that. And like, I don't know, it just felt like a very scripted meet cute moment of like her accidentally stabbing, or not accidentally, but on purpose stabbing him, thinking that he's an orc, and then, oh my God, I can't believe you just, oh, I'm so sorry. I'll tend to your wounds, you know, like.
Yeah, I'm like pretty certain like the betrothed thing like doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Right? Like she made it up.
Or, I mean, fucking maybe it was a real thing.
It could be.
But maybe the dude's dead now or something. Like, I think there was a betrothed possibly, but she's lying about it right now. You know, I mean, look, I think the best thing the show does, and you called it, you were writing the fucking script
Yeah, I was calling a lot of the entire episode.
Them her heating the knife, and then revealing that she allowed herself to be branded by Adar.
Yeah, which I mean, to be honest, it's like in reality, a lot of people would be like, yeah, I need to do this to survive.
Yeah, and
also people would be like, oh, you're branded by Adar, you're instantly bad.
Yeah.
Not that, oh, you did it in order to survive.
Yeah, you were doing what you needed to do.
So it doesn't immediately, like, just completely condemn her in my mind.
No, yeah, I agree.
But it is at least a little sus.
It's a little sus, but I think most importantly, it makes her a little more complex. Which is kind of like, you're watching the episode and she just screams love interest for most of it. And I think that is a vital part to be like, okay, she's not just a love interest for Isildur. There's like...
She's interesting.
There's something going on with her. So I really liked that.
Yeah.
I liked seeing Arondir again. I'm really curious as to what his storyline is going to be. Because he seems aimless at this point. Where he's introduced...
Arondir, yeah.
And we get a badass fight scene with him, which I always love. But then we get the reveal of Bronwyn being dead. And then he tries to, like, comfort and relate himself to Theo, and Theo pushes him away. So I'm kind of like, the things that, I mean, maybe he goes after Adar, maybe it's like a revenge mission. Like, I'm kind of trying to think of, with her being gone, how does that affect his character? Because that was kind of his big thing, right?
Yeah.
So what is he going to do now, is what I'm kind of wondering.
Yeah, I mean, motherfucker just got to get a job. Like, I don't know. No, but like all his elven friends are dead.
Yeah. I think his is going to be, I think he's going to go after Adar. Like, I feel like that's right. Like the Lone Ranger going out to, like, because what else is there for him to do?
He's probably just going to be the Legolas to Isildur's Aragorn, right?
Yeah, I guess I could see that. Yeah. Maybe they'll both go after Adar together or something.
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe I get.
Mean, Arondir, Isildur, and Theo could be like a Legolas, Aragorn, and like kind of like a Frodo-ish character. Like they could go on a little adventure to the three of them.
That Theo is Frodo to me.
No, but I mean, I'm just trying to think of who, like.
He's more of a Pippin.
Okay, yeah, I could take it. Just one of the hobbits, I should say.
More devious.
One of the, like...
Theo would look into Palantir.
One of the ones that isn't necessarily going to be able to hold their own in a fight. You know? One of the ones that kind of needs protecting by the rest of the group.
Yeah.
So I could see that. And I could see that being, like, Arondir trying to help Theo out of some, like... I wonder. So I wonder if they will do kind of the Star Wars thing of Obi-Wan and Anakin, where Obi-Wan's failure is that he is approaching his relationship with Anakin out of obligation and duty and not out of genuine attachment.
Right.
And Anakin needs the genuine attachment. That's what Anakin is looking for. And Obi-Wan isn't able to offer that to him. And that is kind of the vibe that I get we could go down of, like Obi-Wan is doing this out of, my master asked me to do this before he died, and I cared about my master, so I'm going to do this.
Right.
Like, maybe that's something they could do with Arondir of, he's trying to protect Theo to honor Bronwyn or whatever, but that's not really, he's not doing it for Theo. He's doing it for this other person.
Yeah.
Right?
And then Theo also just sees him as a reminder of his mother probably as well. And
yeah. And
he's like, you're not my fucking daddy.
And we know that he has daddy issues.
Yeah.
We know that, like, he kind of wants to know who his dad was.
Yeah.
And that, so, you know, yeah. I really liked that part of the episode. I really liked the episode a lot. The fucking Ents. I mean, we didn't see it, but it's pretty clear what was going on if you've seen the trailers.
Yeah, no, it's clear that it's Ents. At first I was thinking, oh, maybe it's a reindeer.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too.
Yeah. At first I was thinking, oh, he dropped it, like going to go
get Isildur,
like, sneak up on Isildur or something, or and like you made a good point, like, oh, why would he drop the axe then? And I'm like, okay, yeah, good point. But then I was like, okay, yeah, then maybe it's a reindeer. The axe comes flying, and you're like, oh, okay, a reindeer threw the axe.
Yeah,
which is like kind of weird that the axe would go like, you're telling me the ant was like, let me pick up this tiny little axe and throw it. Like,
I hope so. I think that's awesome.
That's kind of weird.
And then you see them start getting like picked off, and so it's like there's clearly multiple people doing it, and you start to realize like, oh, something is reaching down and grabbing them, and that's when you go, oh shit, it's Ents, right?
Yeah.
And you made the good point of the first guy to go is the guy chopping down a tree.
Yep.
You know, so
yeah, it's like when you're playing like what was it called, Survive Together or whatever. If you cut down too many trees and survive together, you summon an Ent.
Yeah.
So, that's cool.
Yeah, I really liked that. I liked Arondir talking more about his homeland. I can't think of what's it called? Beleriand. We had wondered if... So that happened during the first stage, right?
Yeah.
So that would have happened before Adar killed, quote-unquote, Sauron. Quote-unquote, killed Sauron.
Yeah.
So I think last season we had maybe wondered if Adar had any involvement in that. In what happened in... that happened to that city. If he was like from there, or if there was some sort of
like
connection
to where Arondir's from.
Yeah.
Well, Beleriand is like a continent.
Yeah.
It's not like a city or a region. It's a continent.
Okay.
But I mean, Adar was an elf. He was from there. I mean, Adar would have been from
Beleriand.
Like Valinor.
Oh, yeah.
And then, well, it depends on, like, I would assume he would probably be one that, because there's, like, different ideas as to how the orcs were made. Mm-hmm. So, like, basically, elves, like, wake up in Middle-earth and are like, yo, what the hell is going on? Like, we're like, these sentient beings.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like, they're fully formed and stuff. Yeah. And then the Valinor, or the Valar come there and are like, hey, here's how you live, right?
Yeah.
And some of them ran away. And so some people, because they were just scared.
Yeah.
And so some people think that some of those that ran away ended up being captured by Morgoth and then turned into orcs.
Yeah.
But then there's this weird Adar who's like, he's definitely like scarred and twisted in a way.
Yeah.
And
he's got like elf ears.
Yeah, and then he's clearly immortal as well.
Yeah. And
then the orcs call him father, so like there's some weirdness there. I'm
just kind of trying, because it feels to me, at least, if I'm trying to put the pieces together, it feels like Adar and Arondir are going to have something. They're going to have to face off at some point. Like, I don't really think that... I think, like, Galadriel is, like, connected to Sauron more. Like, Sauron is her thing, right?
Yeah.
Elrond doesn't really have any connection to Adar. The Númenóreans have enough to deal with, like, in their own land, right? Like, the dwarves have no connection to Adar. So in my mind, it's either going to be Adar faces off with Arondir or with Sauron.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to guess what is going to happen is that I think Anatar is going to completely control Celebrimbor's mind.
Yeah.
And basically become like a proxy king to Aragian.
Mm-hmm.
And then what's going to happen is a kind of like two-sided war, kind of, where the elves are being sieged by Adar, and Galadriel is like helping them siege, kind of, right? Because we see in the trailer Galadriel and Adar talking because they're like both wanting to take out Sauron. And so that entire time that they're like killing elves to like get in is gonna be like Celebrimbor like won't even really know.
Yeah.
Like he's just gonna basically be locked in the forge.
Yeah.
Making the 9.
Yeah.
And won't have any idea. Like I think after the mix up where Anatar is like saying, "Oh, we don't have any time," and is trying to like tell Durin, "Yeah, we don't have time for you to mull it over." And then Celebrimbor says, "Oh, certainly," right?
Yeah.
You can like see that he has like this kind of twitch in his face.
Well, yeah, he's like, "Who the fuck are you to speak for me?"
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, you're ruining my fucking plan, you absolute." He's cussing him out in turn.
Yeah.
And so I think he's gonna kind of mask off a bit as far as like how much he is manipulating him.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, I need to have this guy a bit more on the leash than I thought." And so I think once the dwarves get their rings, it's going to get way dirtier.
Oh, yeah.
Especially because we see the scene where he's like, "Give me the 9.
Since we're already talking about this, let's talk about the dwarves and stuff. But we see at the end of the episode, the dwarves' rings are being forged. And we do get the great little bit of Sauron taking the glory almost from...
Yeah, Celebrimbor is already his bitch.
Yeah. He, Celebrimbor really wants to be the guy to put the mithril in. Like, and I mean, I think, I don't know how you feel, but I feel like they kind of addressed your concerns with the Celebrimbor stuff in this episode, where I feel like he was absolutely acting out of ego and self-interest.
Yeah.
In this episode.
That was way better, in my opinion, where he's like, it's a human emotion that is like driving him, right?
Yeah.
Where I want to do good things. I want to do great things. I've been waiting for forever. I've been working for this forever.
He's like, I'm not going to let Gil-galad get in my way.
Yeah, he's like, it's not his right to take this away from me or whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When like he doesn't even know that
he hasn't talked to any of them.
Yeah. He's
just taking this dude's word.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm excited to see how this all ends up shaking out as far as, okay, Galadriel's going to get there. Will Anatar already have been so in control that he's telling the guards, yeah, don't let Galadriel in?
Well, here's what
because part of it is like Celebrimbor would also not want her to come in because like he's also keeping this a secret too.
Yeah.
So there's that part of it too. But how far gone is Celebrimbor once Galadriel and Elrond get there? I'm excited to see that.
I want to God, I wish I could trying to see about this. Well, I mean, look, we're 3 episodes in, right? Like, And I'm trying to see if I can find a source for this thing that I had. Yeah. Yeah. Fucking. This is what I had seen.
Like a theory?
Not a theory. This is something that was said. That
By Amazon?
By Amazon, yeah. The showrunner said the Siege of Eregion is the big climax at the end of season 2. It starts in episode 6, goes through episode 7, and goes deep into episode 8. So they're going to do 3 episodes of that. And so my thought is we only have like 2 more episodes until that starts.
So the siege starts.
So like, because part of my thing was like, okay, well, 3 episodes in, like, she's going there. Like, how quickly are things going to explode? And it seems pretty quick. It seems like we're pretty much 2 episodes away from.
I would assume next episode is
them traveling.
She gets there and like they run into an issue where they know that Sauron is there, and then by the end they're like, okay, we're gonna go seek out Adar to kill.
Okay.
Right? Then the episode after that is them convincing Adar and working together and getting there.
Yeah.
And then the next episode after that starts the siege.
Yeah.
So I feel like her and Elrond's is like pretty obvious, like knowing this like kind of outside information, like meta information. So I don't know. I feel like hers is pretty clear as to what's gonna go on there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still excited to see all of the Sauron tricking people scenes have all been super cool. They are so good at doing suspense and eeriness in this show. I'm really excited to see that.
Mm-hmm.
And Charlie Vickers is just continuing to cook. And that little glimpse of seeing Celebrimbor being like, "What have you done to me?" Like that.
Yeah.
That was so cool. So I'm really excited to see that all unravel. I would say the next thing that I'm most excited for, which I would not have thought I would say, considering his kind of lack of involvement in the first season, is I'm kind of excited to see what Isildur, like what he's gonna do.
Well, I think that's like something that, like, I think it's something we kind of all were expecting almost,
because he has to become a big part.
Yeah,
right?
And he had a setup role in season 1, and I feel like this is the beginning of him stepping up into a larger role.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope it doesn't like we're not like.
I think
it would be really boring to me if this entire season is him like fighting whether or not what he has to do, and then like the end is him finally being like, "This is what I'm gonna do," and then we gotta wait to see it next season.
No, I think that's what's gonna happen.
I think it's gonna happen too, because it's just like an obvious storytelling pattern.
Yeah.
I hope that that's not what it is, but
I think this season Elendil will die.
he can't.
No, he can't die.
No, he dies on the battle. Like, Elendil goes to hit Sauron. Remember in the beginning of Lord of the Rings? He goes to hit Sauron.
I forgot he's there too.
He gets killed by Sauron.
Yeah.
Then Isildur goes to go in and gets knocked away. Or no, Isildur just goes to his father's body.
Okay, yeah.
Then picks up his father's
I forgot he was still alive at that point.
Yeah, so like, I mean, unless they change it, basically Elendil and Isildur have plot armor.
Yeah.
As well as like,
I don't think they're going to change that.
Right? No one else has plot armor.
No. Well, I mean, my storytelling, like, forgetting that Elendil was there for that battle, my storytelling thing was, okay, Elendil gets his big arc this season, dies, and then Isildur steps up and becomes he kind of takes Elendil's role for the last 3 seasons. But that doesn't work because he has to be there at the end. Yeah, so
unless they really change,
which I don't think they'll change it that much.
I don't think they would, because like that also is just like, you don't want like this guy to avenge his father. Like, that's a dope scene. Why would you not?
No, it's an important part of that moment.
So,
well, I mean, alternatively, maybe Elendil goes through everything in Numenor this season, flees at the end of the season, leaves Numenor. At the end of the season, we see him reunite with Isildur, and that is when Isildur finishes his step up, so that we're going into season 3 of him having like him and his father. Like he's gone on his own journey. They've gone on journeys independent of each other, so that they can come back together for the rest of the show and be stronger. You know?
Yeah, that's what I would kind of guess too, right? Like Isildur already kind of has this like little setup where he's seeing that the people of Middle Earth are like in like this derelict state compared to his city, and
Numenor's not going to be doing good.
Right, and he's like this leader character, so I'm assuming he's going to be like kind of leading the defense with Arondir. I would assume the two would be pretty paired up, those two, and then Theo there as well.
Yeah.
And then what I think is also going to happen is, I agree. He's going to flee. I would assume Muriel would survive too and come with, because like, how does Isildur and Elendil get into like the line of rule? Without it, you know, because like it is obvious that they have some type of royal blood, but they are like really low on the poll. I mean, considering what has to happen, maybe it's just legitimately they're like, yo, y'all the only royal motherfuckers, bruh.
I mean, really, let's think about it though. Who is Elendil's? I would say Elendil's the third most important person in Numenor right now. In terms of, he just led this campaign into Middle Earth. And I would say that there's Muriel, Farazan. Well, I guess Farazan would be above Muriel, but those are like 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And then it would be him. And if those two are dead, I think it's just kind of like, regardless of the amount of regardless of his actual claim to the throne, I feel like he's just the next most influential person to take lead.
That we would like know of, kind of, yeah. Like that they've set up at least. There is like Farazan's son.
But I feel
like other like
I don't think he survives either though.
There's like other family too, right? Like there would be all that type of thing.
But narratively, those people aren't being set up.
I just think it would make sense too if it's like, oh, Muriel survives as well.
Oh yeah, I could see that too.
And then like they just get together.
Yeah,
right?
I could see that too, and that gives them claim.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Numenor stuff is the stuff I'm most excited for this season.
I just don't know. I wonder how far they're gonna go.
That's why I'm like, I feel like we kind of know where. I mean, we do know. We know that it's going to Eregion. We know where that plotline's going. So Numenor feels like the biggest mystery that is impactful. Because there's obviously, I feel like the stranger is the bigger mystery because we have no idea what happens with that. But like we talked about last episode,
it's I don't care.
It's like it's kind of sequestered off to the side. Where Numenor stuff is very impactful for what's happening.
Because like if there's like a Venn diagram of like overlapping like lore and like things that are consequential to each other, he was in that. There was a big circle of like, is he Sauron?
Yeah.
Right? And then now that circle of influence is just completely separate, at least as of now, and like what we can kind of perceive.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only other thing that's like kind of weird about this to me is like we don't see there's like the Southlanders, right?
Yeah.
And they've all just kind of been in like villages.
Yeah.
There hasn't been like any other like city like referenced, right? Because like Minas Tirith in like all its glory or whatever like doesn't exist yet, but like even just like to know like, oh, like these people here or whatever, like obviously there's only like so much time, but it makes it feel very weird to me. I don't know how to explain it, right? Like we're only seeing such a small segment of Middle Earth, right? Like we've seen Mordor, and then we've seen the outlet of the river Anduin. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it feels very weird.
Yeah, no, that is definitely weird. I think that it's
and then like the Elven kingdoms too, obviously, right? And Khazad-dûm.
Yeah,
but as far as men, we haven't seen anything else.
Well, I mean, maybe that will be where Isildur and the crew go off to for the rest of the season. Because I don't see them being, because I don't see them putting everybody at Eregion for the ending. I think it'll be split up.
Yeah, it would be cool to see Isildur like kind of going on like this campaign to like recruit peoples of Middle Earth, kind of maybe.
Maybe we get a little more exploration. I think like because I guess my thing was I had gotten the vibe that from the first season and the beginning of this season that humanity in Middle Earth is very decentralized and that there really isn't any big city. But thinking about that, it then presents kind of a problem. Maybe not a problem, but it presents a weird thing of if this was the story as it is, you know, as it is like canon or whatever, there's plenty of time to go from this kind of decentralized vision of man to what they need to be by the end of the Second Age. But we essentially in a lifetime need to... In a human lifetime, a longer human lifetime because they're Numenorians, but in a human lifetime, we need to go from like, there is no human central power to...
The alliance of...
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so here's my harebrained theory.
Okay.
Right? So, basically, Sauron is going to be winning this entire season.
Oh, yeah.
Spoilers, guys.
And I think probably...
Sauron is going to be winning this entire season. I think what's going to happen, we already seen the Balrog in the trailers, right?
Yeah.
I think what's going to happen is you are going to get Fellowship of the Ring 2.0. All right? Let me lay it out for you.
Okay.
So we already talked about how there's like this Isildur and then Arondir tag team, right? And like maybe you could throw Theo in there. I don't know.
I just don't know what else he would do.
Who cares, right? What I think is going to happen, something happens, like, and this might be over the course of the next like 2 seasons, right?
Yeah.
But so Isildur is like one of the misplaced people. Arondir is one of the misplaced people. Khazad-dûm's going to fall, and Durin is going to be a misplaced people.
Okay, I see.
And I think what's going to happen is some shit's going to happen in Rune where maybe Tom Bombadil has to save them or something, right? So then Tom Bombadil brings them back to like this side of Middle Earth.
Are they going to form the Fellowship?
So then you have a wizard and you have a halfling, and then they go around getting the alliance for men.
I'm not going to lie, I would hate that.
I think that is literally what's going to happen. There's going to be the Fellowship.
If they do that, I think they...
You're telling me Elrond, you telling me that like the Amazon execs aren't like just straight up stroking their shit to the idea?
That's why I hate it so much, because I believe
2.0.
That feels
they
so...
have Elrond leading it, because like I would assume this is like after... like, shit goes down against Sauron, right?
Yeah.
Like, they already go to fight him, and they lose.
Yeah.
Right? So I would assume, like, Gil-galad dies, Elrond and Galadriel are in charge type shit. They start Lothlorien. Elrond literally has, like, the fucking council.
Yeah.
It would be 1.0 or 0.5 or
the Council of Elrond,
right?
yeah.
It'd be the pre-Council of Elrond. Like, you're telling me that shit. Because in this timeline... this is when he makes that city.
Yeah.
This is when he makes Rivendell.
Yeah.
It's like they get pushed. They get pushed back, and he makes Rivendell. And so you're telling me they don't fucking get everybody together and are like...
You're right, and that's why I hate it.
Dwarves.
I hate it so much that... Because what you just described is the trend of Hollywood, which is, why don't we just remake Fellowship of the Ring?
Yeah.
And I hate that. If they just go into...
That's just fantasy in general, right? Like any like RPG you play or whatever, where you have to go get the locals, or honestly, tons of movies, right? Like,
but I mean,
Avatar,
if they literally like
Dune.
if they literally 1-to-1 are like, here's Legolas, here's Aragorn, here's blah blah. If they do that part of it, like, I would hate that. If they literally are like, this is your remake Fellowship, like. Oh, I really would, and I really wouldn't like that. I really hope they're not going to do that.
Exactly what's going to happen.
And I hate that it feels so likely.
Like,
it feels so corporate.
What's going to happen too is like, then like you're gonna get like a post-credit scene or whatever where like
I need to talk to you about the Avengers initiative.
After no like they destroy the One Ring or whatever.
Yeah.
Because what's gonna happen is they're gonna have to take off the rings or get dominated once the One Ring is made.
Yeah.
But once Isildur has the ring, then that's what's kind of weird though. I don't know. My idea was just that like basically Círdan gives Gandalf the red ring or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But what's weird is like in the books, they don't know that the One Ring is like this controlling device.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're going to have to be very clear and obvious that people don't know that it's a controlling device. Because otherwise, like, everyone just seems like a fucking idiot, right? And I think that that's something that isn't done super well in the Lord of the Rings movies. Because in the books, it's just taken as like a weregild, like as like a blood price.
Yeah.
Like, you killed my father. This was a super precious thing to you. I'm taking this, and now it's my own.
Yeah.
And then obviously there's like the mind-bending shit of the ring, but as far as everybody else's perspective is that he's taking this weregild of this ring, and maybe he likes this ring more because they could perceive that it's a ring of power, but like that it was crafted very well and has this illustrious thing like the Elven rings.
Yeah.
But that he would like it and cherish it more because it's his like father's weregild essentially.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That will be weird. But yeah, that's my harebrained theory already. Three episodes into season 2. We're gonna eventually get Fellowship 2.0. I don't necessarily hate it. It just depends on if it's done well.
I hate it.
I'm not like it can't be done.
It can't be done. I hate it.
It's a little bit on the nose.
It's way too corporate for me.
It's a little bit on the nose. But, I mean, come on. It's the alliance of men, elves, and dwarves. Like, they're going to have to team up, and it's going to feel a little bit fellowship-y
I'm okay with a little bit fellowship-y. What you described was not a little bit fellowship-y. You described, what if they remade the Fellowship of the Ring with these characters instead?
Yeah.
I do want to point out Tyler has severe PTSD from the Borderlands movie because he's currently just fucking pitching the Borderlands movie as Lord of the Rings in chat with Kevin Hart as Gimli, Kate Blanchett as Legolas. Yeah. We haven't even talked about Numenor yet.
We have not. We're cooking.
Let's move over to Numenor. I really liked Farazan usurping the throne. So my reading of the situation is they planned that up to a point, and up to the point is the eagle showing up. And I think Farazan is like, all right, I'm going to take the fucking moment here and go stand in front of the eagle. And the eagle clearly is not into it. Like, I think they misread that situation terribly.
Yeah.
Like, the eagle leaves when they decide to name Farazan the new leader or whatever. Like, the eagle's like, all right.
And he's yelling, like, the eagle favors Farazan.
And the eagle's, like, rearing back, like, the fuck you mean?
Yeah. And then also, like, him saying that is, like, going to be detrimental to Muriel because she can't see what's happening. Maybe in her heart she's believing, oh, my God, like, this eagle is favoring him. Like, because that's what people are saying, right? She's just only having to guess what's happening.
I'm very curious as to what's going to happen immediately following that. I really hope we follow that up this next episode because I kind of get I think her and Elendil are about to get put in prison, essentially.
Probably. The thing that's, like, super fucking weird to me, though, is, like, okay, you're telling me the guards are not letting Elendil to where Muriel is?
I don't think it's the guards. I think it's just the swarm of, like, noble people.
He's at the front there, though, right? Like,
I think it's kind of a, like, I think it's a, like,
and, like, if
we can't let him up without hurting the nobles, and we're not going to do that.
It's so bad. Honestly, this is, like, a very nitpick, but it's actually fucking stupid. If you are in a crowd in a riot, and everyone is, like, pushing on a gate, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's pushing on a gate, like if this is real life.
Yeah.
If somebody else is pushing on the gate, there's not motherfuckers pulling him back.
That's true, I guess, yeah.
Like, everyone is pushing forward. So if he's pushing forward too, they wouldn't be like, no, not you, bro.
They want his ass. They're
like, I guess, like, he's effectively a cop pushing on the gate, and then they're like, oh, you're a cop pulling him back, I guess. But then, like, they kind of just stop. And
I think they consider him as much a traitor as they consider Muriel. I think they just... I think if
that was more clearly portrayed, I would agree. Right?
I don't know. I feel like
you're a traitor too, or whatever.
I don't know. I don't know. I think they do a fine enough job. I think they have.
I disagree. I felt like I had to suspend my belief a little bit that like he could be right there, like grab my hand, Muriel, grab my hand, even though she's blind. Like, and then also like the guards still holding him back. Obviously, they think, oh, if we let him in or whatever, right? But like, I don't know. It felt a little cliche to me. Well,
okay, it's definitely cliche, but I think it works in that I think we already had Aardian literally say that he's a traitor, like not in a huge setting, but she says it to Farazan and to Vanadil or whatever. Valendil. I think that like
Valendril? I don't remember.
I think he's seen as like the right-hand man of Muriel at this point. Like, he's standing next to her when they're receiving everybody. Was the second in command that led everybody to die in Middle-earth. Like, I think they've got plenty of reason to be just as mad at him as they do Muriel. So I think that's kind of what that was about. They clearly haven't
talked either, because at this, like, funeral, she's, like, flaming him.
Yeah.
And then...
But I think public perception is he's just as much to blame as she is. And I think that's kind of... I think it's like, we're doing a coup, and we're taking out the head of state and the head of the military.
Yeah, and she's just like a useful idiot, kind of.
Like, I think it's kind of like, this noble is taking control of the situation, and in order to do that, he needs to take out the current leader so that he can supplant them, and he needs to take out the leader of the army so that there isn't a resistance formed against him. And so that's why I think they went after Elendil as well.
I mean, like, yeah. It's more hard for me to believe that just like random people in the crowd.
Well, yeah, I think they go a little like, I think it's a little cliche just in that one person starts chanting Farazan and then the whole crowd is against Muriel. Like, I think the whole thing is cliche from the start. I don't think it's necessarily the Elendil bit that's weird. I think the whole situation is a little like, I think the theme of the season, it's a little rushed. It's a little like we get to this moment very quickly, in my opinion, of everybody kind of turns. But I think for me, this worked better. I was more okay with this kind of rush moment. Maybe I'm just becoming more accepting of it as the season goes on. Maybe that's just what it is, but... Because like I agree with you.
I just don't think that it's like if we're not doing it at this pace, like we're adding like at least an entire season.
Well, and that's I think that's part of my acceptance of it is coming to terms with the idea of they wanted clearly to make Aurelian a massive moment. If they want to do it in over 3 episodes, they wanted this to be like something that is, it's something that Game of Thrones tried to do and shat the bed on. Game of Thrones tried in their final season to make the greatest battle sequence of all time. And it was fucking terrible. The Battle of Winterfell in season 8 of Game of Thrones is terrible. It's awful. And so really like Game of Thrones, I would say still holds the record on television for the Battle of the Bastards in like season 6 or something. But I think like clearly they want to take that crown. And they don't want to take that crown even from just Game of Thrones. They want to be the best across movie and television, right?
Yeah.
And so I think in order to give that moment the time it needs, they have to kind of rush to it a little bit. If they're like, we want to have 3 episodes of Aurelian, then that means everything up until then has to move a little bit faster. And I'm okay with that as long as they land Like, I need...
Well, also in a meta sense, they need to have a wow moment for this show to not get canceled, I think.
Yeah,
I don't know how much money it's, like, making them, and, like, critically, I think it's doing pretty poorly. At least in, the online sphere that I'm in, a lot of people just hate on it.
Yeah.
For some valid reasons, and I think mostly bullshit reasons, and, like, they haven't seen it either. So it's, like, it's just kind of cringe to...
The only thing that makes... I think that they need the wow moment to win over the audience. I'm not sure if they need the wow moment to win over the audience to not get canceled, because I'm pretty sure they've already dumped, like... Well, at least... They committed, didn't they?
I'm pretty sure they're committed to 3 seasons.
I thought they were committed to all 5.
I was under the assumption that it was 3. Maybe it's, like, old information or what, but...
Or maybe the all 5 is old information and the 3 is the reality.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't... If it does, like, really poorly... Obviously, they have, like, millions and millions of dollars. And
they were committed to something, because if they were going to cancel it, they would have done it after the first season. Like, yeah, I don't think this season happens unless they were commit. Well, that's what I mean, is they'd already committed.
It was already in shooting and stuff. I don't know if they're shooting season 3 right now, right?
I don't think they are, but
that's like the
were they shooting season 2 during the end of season 1? I don't think they were.
I thought they were.
I don't think they started until after.
Yeah, I'm misremembering. That's what's, like, kind of weird about, like, the facts right now, because we literally just got done watching all 3 episodes. We haven't watched it another time. We haven't looked at anything online as far as news, so forgive us for being maybe a little bit out of the loop if there is some other news for these first 3 episodes, because we have been staying away from the internet, because this is a couple days after they've been out. But yeah, so I don't know.
October 3rd, 2022 is when filming began. So maybe that was when before this came out. Rings of Power season 1 premiered in September of 2022.
So, like, there was, like, a little bit of overlap, right?
So there was a little bit of overlap, yeah. So you were right, yeah.
I thought. But basically what I'm trying to say in a more, like, broad sense is, like, as someone who likes the show, I know they're putting so much money and effort into this that I could see it getting pulled if it isn't reaching the numbers that they want.
Absolutely.
And so, as someone who doesn't want that to happen, I'm like, there needs to be something at the level of, like a Charge of the Rohirrim kind of moment, or
Helm's Deep, or
like Siege of Helm's Deep, Siege of Gondor, like that type of thing, where it doesn't matter if you don't like that there's, like, a black elf. It doesn't matter if you don't like that Galadriel has some of the stuff that Elrond does in the books. It doesn't matter, because this scene is just fucking cool fantasy siege battle shit. Yeah. Right? Like, it needs that, where
they need their Battle of the Bastards. For television. Like,
I'm really excited. I hope it does really well. I don't know. Everything I'm seeing up to this point makes me believe that they can do it.
I think they can do it too.
A large battle is definitely different from anything they've done so far. I mean, there was, like, a little bit of a hint of it when they were
the charge in season 1.
Well, there's the charge, there's them coming into battle into the town.
Yeah.
There's the tower stuff, like
but that's not the scale of what we're gonna see here.
Right. So it's definitely gonna be upscaled, like, times 10.
I think that's definitely what I'm trying to say, and I think I'm in the same spot as you. My thing is, I'm reserving final judgment on on the pacing for now, to see if they land those last 3 episodes. If the Siege of Eregion is the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen, then it was worth this. If they drop the ball, which I don't think they do. I think that, honestly, I think action is probably the show's strongest point. Like, I think they do action very well. I think they do action a lot better than Game of Thrones did, especially towards the end. So, I mean, like, I expect the Siege of Eregion to really work for me, but it definitely needs to work if we are kind of rushing a little bit to get to that moment, to give that moment what it deserves.
Yeah, it needs these wide like, what's the, like, I wanted to say wide screen, but
wide shots, like,
yeah, they need the really wide shots where, like, you're seeing, like, Minas Tirith being sieged from, like, way above and stuff.
And I think I mean, look, in the trailers we've gotten plenty of, like, stuff that looks
a lot of the
similar.
cinematography has been really cool as far as, like, the specific moments and stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of the angles that they shoot. A lot of the, like, suspense and stuff. But yeah,
I think everything they've shown of it looks great.
The scale stuff is kind of what I'm missed so far. There, like you said, there has been some hints of it, right? Where like when you see Eregion for the first time, like there's like this wide, like swinging shot around the city and stuff. And I think if you have that plus like these armies and shit on there, that I think that really helps solidify the grandness of the fantasy, right?
Yeah.
Like we're in fantasy territory. We need the high fantasy, right? Like,
and you know, that was kind of the I think that is, you know, I think that's their hope as well, you know, they did a lot of setup in season 1. And now they want to be like, guys, don't worry. We did that for a reason. Like, we're not spending all this money to just make 5 season 1s. You're going to see the most insane shit that you've ever seen. You just need to give us time to get to it. And I think the Siege of Eregion is like here's your first morsel. Like, this is what, from their perspective at least, right, is them showing the audience this is the grand epicness that you can expect from future seasons.
They need to get to the Helm's Deep.
Yeah, this is the promise of.
We watched their Fellowship of the Ring. Now we need to watch the Helm's Deep on the 2 towers.
Yeah,
but as far as like going back to Numenor, what I wish is that. I wish there was less of Aarion and Clement or whatever his name is.
I agree.
And more Farazan.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I think they could do some really interesting shit where it's like, okay, is Farazan they need it to be like they're making him too creepy in my opinion and like too scheming. But I think they do a little bit of a good job where it's like he's saying, hey, like, if it's the whiskey talking, you need to, like, chill out, right?
Well, yeah, I don't know. I almost feel the opposite in that I wasn't even really sure at the end while watching it. I was like, is this the plan or is he taking advantage of a moment?
Yeah, like he's just rising to a moment that he thinks he needs to do, right?
Yeah.
I think they need to have a moment of him pushing back against doing this, like, coup stuff.
Yeah.
Where it's like him rising to a call, him rising to a moment or whatever, right? And maybe somebody else is scheming or whatever. Because I think they could do some really cool stuff where it's... Because they kind of had it in the first season where his son is asking him to do it. And he's like...
Yeah.
He's like, no.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I feel like that's almost what... I wonder if they will reveal to us that that he was not involved in this setup. That this was something that, like, Aarion and his son planned, and then he...
And, like, the other, like, Baron...
Yeah, and then he just took the moment.
Yeah.
Once things unfolded.
Well, I think it would be cool because, like, it's funny that, like, basically she is, like, considered this, like, wartime queen, like, ruler, right? Like, it's her fault that these people died. I wonder what they're going to do... Because, like, this is going to be kind of spoilery for what's going to happen probably next season. But, and, like, maybe partially this season. I would assume not really. But, basically, like, everybody loses to Sauron in mainland Middle-earth.
Yeah.
They're holding out in Lindon and... like they're losing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then they got to get bailed out by Numenor again. Mm-hmm. And so if Farazan is already in power, which is like he is in the book, right? Like he bails them out because he's like this like I think he literally like gives himself a title like King of Kings or some shit.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I wonder how they're gonna make it to where it was bad when she went to war, but now it's good when he does.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I'm.
Well, I think it might be now revenge. Like, yes, we shouldn't have gotten into this situation in the first place.
Thinking about it, it's gonna be the Palantir.
Oh well, yeah.
If he takes it and yeah.
Well, and just speaking about his character, one of the things that I actually really enjoyed about it was that, like, I think that they're doing it subtly and maybe a little too subtly, but I think they depict him as he believes what he's saying.
Yeah.
I mean, he shows up in red. It's not like, because there's two ways you can read the scene of him and Muriel earlier in the episode, right? You can read it as he's trying to help her and telling her, wear red. This is something I genuinely believe, and I think you should do this to show this image that I believe the people of Numenor will respond positively to. Or he was trying to set her up for failure, and it was something that she won, right, by picking the white instead of the red. And I think it's interesting that they show him show up in red to be like, no, he believes it. That was not him trying to set her up for failure by having her wear the red. He genuinely believes this is the right thing to do, and this is the right move to make. And I think that's interesting.
Yeah. Because he's going to be, like, Farazan is going to be a badass, guys.
Yeah.
He's gonna be a badass. But then it's like, okay, he ends up, it's kind of a chicken or the egg kind of thing where, like, he's going to end up getting corrupted, but it's like, would he have been corrupted without Sauron's influence? I don't know. I think it's better for him to seem noble mostly for the next, like, season or whatever, because then, like, if he's already kind of corrupt and then gets corrupted by Sauron, it's like, okay, wow, the corrupt dude got corrupted. Wow, like the dude who usurped this kingdom from his like sibling. Like, wow,
what a surprise.
Yeah. Whereas if he is like, I think it would parallel really well to Theoden.
Yeah.
Where it's almost kind of a bit of a reverse, right? Where it's like.
He starts off
Imagine if Theoden does the charge to go help Gondor.
And then
he comes back, and then he gets taken over by Saruman.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, that would kind of be the idea.
Yeah, yeah.
But, like, he's, like, this kingly guy. He's saved Middle-earth. He's done this stuff. It would make the fall mean more. So I hope that they keep him as... I don't want him to be this, like scheming... little bastard.
I think they will.
I don't know how else to put it.
I think the scheming is going to come from his son and Eardian and whoever else, whatever other noble scheming. But I think that so far they've kind of depicted him as not lusting for power, but doing what he believes is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
For Numenor.
I think the more they do that, the better it'll be. I hope they continue to do that.
And I think they will. I hope, at least. Or, he goes and joins the Fellowship of the Ring 2.0, I guess, and...
There's no way.
and he's Boromir in the second Fellowship. Give me the ring.
I mean, Clement would be more like Boromir. He would be more like, why can I not fucking think of Boromir's dad's name right now?
Oh, the steward?
Yeah. What is his
Denethor?
Name? Denethor, yeah. I'm a fake fan, bro. But, Yeah, no, I don't know. I feel like that pretty much wraps up. We ended up talking a lot more about what we think about the show going forward,
which I think makes sense as we're wrapping out these discussions.
Kind of have
3
just watched
episodes.
like 3 hours of it. Yeah, so I'm excited. I'm definitely gonna be rewatching these, and so I might have some more tidbits about it for next episode or something. I
can say I'm more excited after this episode for the rest of the season than I was after episode 1. So that is something that
if I had to rank
feel
them,
good about.
I think I like 1 best.
Yep.
Then 3. Yep. Then 2. But I don't know. Maybe I could swap them. I don't know. I think the backstory stuff was just so freaking cool in 1.
Yeah.
And it really didn't feel like there was like all right, guys, this is episode 1, so not much is gonna happen because it's episode 1. We just gotta set stuff up, like just for like slowing down the pace for just the fact that it's episode 1. Like, it's not really episode 1; it's episode 9. You know, like
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy so far. I would give that episode a 9.
I'd probably also give this one a 9.
I'm really excited to see what they're. Really, the only thing is like I just don't really care. Like I'm gonna say it again, bro. They weren't in this episode. I don't really care about like the Nori stranger shit. Every other storyline though, I'm like, ooh, I want to see what Arondir does. I want to see what Isildur does. I want to see what Pharazôn does. I want to see what Elendil does. I want to see what the Queen does. I want to see like. Really, the only other person that I feel like this like undetached from is like fucking Pharazôn's son. You know, like how do I feel the same about like Nori and the Stranger as Pharazôn's son? We'll see if what I think is gonna happen happens, where we get this like scuffed Fellowship 2.0. I think that's cooler, in my opinion, than. Okay, he's just in Rune, fighting some bad guy in Rune, and it has nothing to do with the rest of Middle-earth effectively, because none of it ends up coming into the rest of Middle-earth. Like, he did this good thing, but it's kind of made-up bullshit, in my opinion, right? It's like, this isn't canon. You made this thing that was non-canon. It didn't affect the canon, and it still hasn't affected the canon if he, like, succeeds, right? So it's like, did this story make sense at all except for to check a box, to have a wizard, and to have a hobbit in a Lord of the Rings thing, right?
Yeah.
I would feel a little bit better if he ends up being a reason that they end up being able to make the alliance.
Mm-hmm.
And that I think it works in like an overall narrative Lord of the Rings wise, where Gandalf's being able to support somebody and to help people to make the right decision and stuff like that, and to really boost people's morale, wasn't just from the Ring of Power that he gets from Círdan, right? That he himself was able to do this. I think that that's cool. And then it also could still hammer home the point of, like, you know, you see, like, Nori and Poppy do some, like, admirable thing that, like, even, it's like one of the lines that Galadriel says in The Lord of the Rings, even the smallest person can change the course of the future. I think that would also ring true as, like, a...
Yeah. The theme and everything.
Just a good moral theme, I think, is like a universally enjoyable theme.
Yeah.
They have to do it well, you know?
I'm with you. I'm okay with everything you're saying. I get a little turned off when the initial way that you described it.
They're like sitting there like clearly like stroking themselves on the show, being like, oh, we led them straight to the... We're 3 seasons in, and now we're having a Fellowship moment, and we're nodding back to it. Maybe we even do some shot-for-shot shit because we're just so fucking good. Like, if they're doing that, I could see why it would rub people the wrong way. It just, as long as it's done good, I don't have any complaints, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah.
All I know is that, like, if I go missing because I have spoiled what they're going to do.
Yeah.
You
That's
guys
why.
know.
It's definitely
You guys know this has been
no
live
other
streamed.
reason.
Download the VOD of this stream, and if I go fucking missing, you know why.
I have information that will lead to Jeff Bezos' arrest.
I'm turning into fucking like Alex Jones or some shit.
They're turning the hobbits gay.
Like you know they're gonna be after me.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for listening. You guys can find me on other shows on this channel, like what is this, a crossover episode, or Squid Pro Quo. You guys should definitely check out Meadow Vista Media, who did our incredible theme for this podcast, and our good friend at Alex_BeakBoy, who did the artwork.
Our beautiful art. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys are enjoying Rings of Power as much as I have. Let us know what you guys think in the comment section on the YouTube video. This will be up soon for those of you watching live and lurking and supporting. If you can catch up. I know we watched a lot of Rings of Power very shortly.
We watched a lot of Rings of Power.
Thanks you guys for watching, either whether you were watching with us, whether you're lurking for the the live episode of the podcast. And thank you guys so much. Enjoy your 11sies, your luncheon, your afternoon tea, supper, dinner.
Oh.
And we'll see you guys next week for episode 4.
Bye.